Minority leader Harry Idrisu criticizes the Ghana Police Service over the Diufiasem firing of the British High Commissioner to Ghana, Harriet Thompson, in relation to the arrest of the convener of the Fix the Country movement, Oliver Barker Vormawor. Now, the statement signed by the IGP, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, described the High Commissioner's comment on Twitter as misguided, unwarranted, and biased. This 4-page letter has drawn massive public reactions, with the minority leader describing it as an attempt to once again curtail free speech. My colleague MFR Pao joins us through Zoom with details of this statement. MFR, why is the IGP writing this letter now?
Okay, so there's a preamble to all this. It's just a direct response to a tweet by the British High Commissioner. We all know, we've been talking about this tweet. She wanted to know or see a logical conclusion to this particular, the latest arrest of Oliver Barker Vormawor. So the IGP in this letter mentions that ordinarily, the Ghana Police Service would not have responded to comments such as this one made by the British High Commissioner, obviously made from either a biased or uninformed position. However, it says we have learned from previous painful experience that it has not been helpful to ignore such misguided, unwarranted, and biased comments intended to tarnish the reputation of the Ghana Police Service and that of our country, for which reason they have to respond. He also cites the Vienna Convention, which he says that tweet is a violation of, we all know about the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations 1961, for which reason, or it enjoins diplomatic missions not to interfere in the internal affairs of their host country, for which reason the IGP decided to respond directly to that tweet by the British High Commissioner.
However, he provided details of Vormawor's arrest. Is it different from what we know already? Any specific details?
Okay, so contrary to public belief that this latest arrest may have been as a result of the previous treasonable comment that is now in court that we all know about, the IGP states the facts as to why Oliver Barker Vormawor was arrested on Tuesday, 17 May 2022. He says he was among other drivers who were arrested separately for road traffic offences and say they were all arraigned, where some pleaded guilty, were convicted and paid their fines accordingly. However, this person, he didn't mention Barker Vormawor, but said this person pleaded not guilty, was granted bail by the court, and was released after fulfilling the bail conditions. So against this backdrop, and in view of the fact that he's not the only person who is being taken through the due process for committing an offense in this country, it is difficult to understand why he is your only focus. And this is a question to the British High Commissioner. He says, are we to understand that you are concerned about the law enforcement process in Ghana, or only as applied to your person of interest? This is the question that the IGP poses to the British High Commissioner.
Well, again, the IGP spoke about the British revering their security agencies. What exactly did he say?
So he says that he is aware, at least they are not oblivious as a country, that the British reveres its army and continuously celebrates both serving and retired officers in the British Armed Forces. It might not be what you expect, but please be informed that as a country, Ghana similarly treasures its police office, the armed office, and all other security agencies, and we are anxious to build these institutions into strong and revered pillars of society that perform their duties excellently. So he also adds that as our former colonial power, we all know that, and the source of our legal, judicial, and criminal justice, architecture, and indeed of our police service, we continue to look up to Britain, among other countries, for guidance with regard to how difficult situations are handled. So we note that some leaders of faith-based organizations in your country made pronouncements that were considered as national security threats. They were branded as terrorists, he says, arrested, prosecuted, in some cases were extradited. This, we believe, your country did in its quest to safeguard the security of the state and ensure the sustenance of the peace and inhabitants enjoy. So that's a reminder that letter also served to the British High Commissioner.
In this letter, the IGP asked the Commissioner some questions. What are they?
In fact, 15 questions is what the IGP posed to the British High Commissioner. Amongst others, I'll take a few of them. Amongst others, he asks whether there are instances in Britain where people are permitted to openly threaten the security of the state with coup He also asked, as foreign service officer, even though you might not have personal experience, you doubtless have access to the records of the periods of unrest and coups in Ghana. Are you really wishing on us we return to it? He also asked, is it the case that a person on his or her way to the British courts cannot be pulled over for traffic offences or any other offences for that matter? Now, other questions also include, is there any particular reason why, of all the people arrested daily for various offences in Ghana, you are especially interested in this person's case? Is a question that he poses again. Do you know the number of members of parliament, chief executives, and other high-profile Ghanaians who have been arrested and prosecuted for road traffic offences and have submitted themselves to due process? He also asked whether you are interested in the number of lives lost to road accidents and the number of injured persons, as well as families who have become destitute as a result of such accidents caused by the infractions of people like the person of interest to you. And Dr. Brace, just before I wrap up on this, the concluding part of the IGP's 4-page letter, he says, for the moment, we would recommend a Ghanaian saying that might guide you in your diplomatic engagement. The saying goes, "Diufiasem." It means learn to keep within the limits of what concerns you or what concerns you. That's signed by Ghana's Inspector General of Police, George Ekufu Dampare, PhD.
All right, MFA, thank you very much. Now, the NDC, through the party's General Secretary, Johnson Asiodun Ketia, says it has taken a considered view of the IGP's letter to the British High Commissioner. My colleague Kweku Asante joins us with details. Kweku, what are details of the statement put out by the NDC?
So, Brace, as usual, this is beginning to take some sort of a political slant because the NDC is going heavy on this. And I must admit, I was sitting just behind the NDC General Secretary whilst he was busy on his phone typing this statement that he has just put out at the Speaker's inaugural lecture series. Okay. And this statement is taking on the IGP for the language that he used in that statement or in that letter addressed to the British High Commissioner. They say the comments are unguided, they are undiplomatic, and that the IGP should have sought wise counsel before putting out that letter. They are also raising some concerns. You know, this letter was addressed privately to the British High Commissioner. They're raising concerns about how this is ending up on social media and all that. And so they are taking particular aim at Dr. George Ekufu Dampare and saying that he ought to have known better. And this same British High Commission that you are going to and saying that they should, just like everybody said, do fiasem, you are also going to them occasionally for support and all that. And so the NDC clearly not happy with the police letter to the British High Commissioner.
All right. Now, let's still stay a little longer on this story because we've been joined by a security analyst, Richard Kumado, to put this in context. Now, Mr. Kumado, thank you very much for joining us. What do you make of this letter?
Would you let me say that I'm a security consultant? But having read the letter, there were three things that ran through my mind. I think I would have loved it's not Dampare who signed the letter as the IGP. Having said that, I think the tone of the letter was very confrontational. The arguments in the letter was a bit more agitative, and the police was fidgeting. And that is why you are not surprised, and I'm not surprised it has taken a political speech. Okay. That is the politician speaking and not a law enforcement officer. And the tone of the letter, the wording of the letter, page by page, line by line, looks more like it's a political writing than a law enforcement officer.
Whoa. Now, if that be the case, in terms of international security practice, what do we see happening here?
No, I think the IGP is taking the hit, and the IGP is trying so well. Complex situations he has faced ever since he became the IGP. The pressure of the work is getting to him. The Ghana Bar Association is at his heels. The public is also at his heels for non-fighting crime as it is, as he promised. Then in Kranzan is also burning. Putting all this together, psychologically, I think the IGP is being weighed down. And I want to believe that it's not somebody who's pulling him into this particular arena. He should stay out of it, concentrate on the job, and we will support him to win.
Now, what was the best way he could have handled this particular matter?
I'm not surprised listening to your colleague saying that the Foreign Affairs Ministry has waded into the matter. If I'm the one advising the IGP, I would have said that this one is a diplomatic issue. If you feel so strongly what the lady has said is against the terms of engagement, engage the foreign ministry of our country at those long diplomatic tables and diplomatic meetings. They could have addressed the situations whilst you concentrate on law enforcement. And basically, you don't deal with a diplomat in the manner they have dealt with. And I think that is why it looks as if the IGP is coming under fire, which I'm not too happy about.
Well, any collateral damage from this and how best it can be handled? We know the Foreign Affairs is coming, but from your perspective, how best can it be handled if there's any collateral damage here?
No, my only worry is that the NDC has gotten involved and they are trying to bring the IGP to the floor, not the Minister of Interior, the IGP to the floor. And that is against the standard practice of law enforcement officers. Having said that, I think this is NDC, NPP, IGP issue. We should go behind the scene and deal with it as quickly as possible and let the IGP continue doing his work at the Inspector General of Police, where crime is beginning to dominate the public space again, where there are murder cases for which we are not getting results, and where everybody is looking up to the IGP to provide leadership, and that is what we love him for. And I wait him to continue and stop making Vormawor, a person of interest.
Even though he goes against the law. Okay, I think we're having challenges with his line there. Now, still on the story, the minority leader, Harry Nadrusu, has criticized the police service over its response to some comment made by the British High Commissioner, Harry Thompson, in relation to the arrest of the convener of the Fix the Country movement, Oliver Vormawor. The minority leader was speaking in Parliament.
Concern about the consistent undermine to freedom of expression guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution, that even a foreign diplomat cannot simply express her view that how will this particular trial go? How will this investigation go? There is a difference between a Facebook post and an actual threat to the stability of our country. Probably they are running ahead of their shadows because they know what they are doing. So, freedom of expression remains the most fundamental building block of a democracy. And if a diplomat can be questioned simply for saying that, how will this one too go? You see, Ghana must operate under rule of law, not rule of Nana Addo Dankwa. He is not the rule of law. He is not. He is not the rule of law. But he must exemplify and live by it as President of the Republic. Yes. And therefore, we are disappointed at the high-handedness and the excess responses of the Ghana Police Service. Probably, one of us will get one of our members to sponsor a private motion on an independent police commission so that we can call the police to order. They cannot be doing investigation of themselves when they themselves are capable of the same wrongdoing. So we support a bill which should look at the establishment of an independent police commission akin to what prevails in many other democracies.